Have you ever heard music so powerful that it could change the world around you? Imagine a tune so sweet and strange that it could make thousands of tiny feet march in rhythm, a melody that could open doors in mountains and carry children into a land of mystery. This, my friends, is the haunting tale of the Pied Piper of Hamelin, a story whispered for centuries, warning us about promises broken and trust betrayed. Long ago, in the German town of Hamelin, life was full of laughter. The cobbled streets echoed with the chatter of merchants selling bread and cheese. Children's voices rang out like birdsong, and neighbors leaned from their painted wooden houses to greet each other. It was a town that seemed almost perfect. But one year, trouble arrived in the most unexpected form: rats. At first, it was just a scurry in the pantry, a gnawed loaf of bread here and there. But soon, the town seemed under siege. Rats scuttled across rooftops, darted through market stalls, and swarmed cellars. They chewed through barrels of grain and frightened the cats. They were bold and endless, pouring in from the river like a living tide. Families could hardly sit down to supper without furry invaders leaping onto tables. People began to despair. Then one morning, as the sun lit the red roofs of Hamelin, a strange figure walked through the town gates. He was tall and thin, dressed in a coat that shimmered with many colors: reds, greens, blues, stitched together like a rainbow come to life. Slung across his back was a wooden pipe that glowed in the light as though it carried a secret of its own. His eyes sparkled with mystery. "I hear your town has a rat problem," he said, bowing to the mayor and councilmen who stood on the steps of the town hall. His voice was smooth, confident. "I can rid Hamelin of every last rat, for a price." The desperate townspeople leaned closer. "And what would that price be?" asked the mayor. 1,000 gold coins, the man replied with a smile that was half challenge, half promise. The mayor and his council huddled together, whispering. They thought the price steep, but the rats were destroying everything. At last the mayor declared, "Do it, and you will be paid." The stranger nodded, lifted his pipe to his lips, and began to play. The music that drifted through the square was unlike any the townsfolk had ever heard. It shimmered in the air, lilting and bright, playful yet commanding. It wound through the alleys, danced across the riverbanks, and slipped under every door. And then, something extraordinary happened. Rats began to appear. One by one, then in dozens, then in swarms, they poured into the streets. From attics, from cellars, from behind cupboards and under carts, they scrambled forward, their little black eyes shining, their whiskers twitching in time with the music. The crowd gasped as the piper played on, stepping lightly through the square. With every note, more rats followed. Hundreds, then thousands, all moving as though enchanted. Down the winding streets he led them, across the marketplace, through the gates, and finally to the river Weser, its waters glimmering in the afternoon light. The piper's tune shifted, sharp and rushing like the current, and without hesitation, the rats plunged into the river. The water churned, then stilled. Not one rat was left. The people of Hamelin cheered, tears streaming down their faces. They danced, they hugged, they wept with joy. The nightmare was over, but when the piper returned to collect his payment, the mayor frowned. 1,000 gold coins for playing a tune?" he scoffed. "We'll give you 50. Take it and leave." The smile faded from the stranger's lips. His eyes darkened like storm clouds. "You gave your word," he said softly. "A bargain was struck." The mayor waved him off, and the council muttered their agreement. The townsfolk nodded too, saying he should be grateful for anything at all. The piper's gaze swept over them, sharp as a blade. "Very well," he whispered, "but you will regret this." He turned and walked away, his bright coat fluttering in the wind, leaving behind an uneasy silence. Days passed. The people of Hamelin returned to their cheerful lives, boasting of how clever they had been to bargain down the strange musician. But one Sunday morning, As the church bells tolled and parents gathered inside to pray, a sound rose once more in the streets. The piper had returned. This time, the tune was softer, sweeter, like silver threads of moonlight woven into music. It sparkled and drifted, carrying joy and wonder in every note. The children of Hamelin paused in their games, their eyes wide, their smiles dreamy. One by one, they stood, as if lifted by invisible hands, and followed the sound. Little feet pattered on cobblestones, dolls and wooden toys clutched in small hands. The baker's son, the blacksmith's daughter, the mayor's own little boy, all of them followed, their laughter rising like a chorus. The parents rushed from the church, alarmed. They cried out, reaching for their children, but the little ones slipped through their arms as though the music itself carried them forward. The piper led them past the square, past the marketplace, across the meadows, and toward the looming mountain beyond the fields. His tune was brighter than sunlight, more alluring than any dream, and then the mountain opened. Yes, the solid rock face split wide like a golden gate, glowing with light. The piper stepped inside, still playing, and the children followed, their voices echoing with laughter. One after another, they vanished into the shining mountain. Then, as the last child's foot crossed the threshold, the door closed. Silence. Only one child remained, a little boy who had been lame and could not keep up with the rest. Tears streaked his cheeks as he pointed to the mountain, crying that the others had gone inside. But the mountain stood still and silent once more. The parents wept, their hearts broken beyond mending. The town that had once been filled with children's laughter was left hollow and grieving. Hamelin, which had thought itself clever, had lost what was most precious. Years turned to decades, and still the story was told. Some said the piper led the children to a land of wonder, where they would never know hunger or sorrow. Others whispered darker tales, that they were lost forever in shadows. But all agreed on one thing. The people of Hamelin had learned too late that a promise is sacred. And that, dear listener, is the heart of the story. Promises are not just words, they are bonds of trust. When broken, the cost can be greater than you ever imagined. So the next time you give your word, big or small, remember Hamelin, keep it, honor it, and treasure it. Like, comment, and subscribe for more magical folktales. And don't forget to press the bell icon. Tell me, friends, if you had been in Hamelin that day, would you have kept the promise to the piper?